I mean, basically, if you really want to like a big hint about how to handle things here, you could just basically take like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read through all these yet. Okay. But, maybe just take like, let's just take three, maybe. Let's see. Now we got Kaylee, Cameron, and Joseph. Maybe do a little copy here. Okay. And let's like reduce the point size so it's not too much in your face. Okay. No, actually, I'm sorry. Duh, right here. Okay. Let's just do 16. Okay. So maybe we do like a little bit of paste special, cut paste. Okay. All right. So this was let's see, Cameron, Kaylee. Didn't copy down the first name here. I'm sorry. And no, it's Joseph. Okay, Joseph Zarrell. All right. So anyway, this is what I do actually a lot now, because actually like a lot of the interviews I do actually I get a transcript for is I literally like will just cut and paste right from it. Just like you do with those news releases, you just cut and paste from it, and then you can kind of shape it so that it actually is your writing. Shape it in your writing, and also fit it within the context of your story. Use transitional phrases to kind of go from one paragraph to the next or one point to the next. Okay. All right. So maybe you can do something like this. Joseph Zarrell, Joe, I forget what year you're in, but just say like maybe a Rutgers sophomore. Said the weather as of late has been pretty ridiculous. Some days he's waking up to 70 to 80, 70 to 60 to 70 degree weather and wearing shorts and t-shirt. The next day, again, well, I'm actually paraphrasing here because I can actually cut what he's saying without getting too wordy, and make it easier to read. Okay. And people tend to read paraphrasing and storytelling and narrative more than they read the quotes. Okay. Weather is so interesting, especially not because of how random it is. One day it can be beautiful, the next day it can just be disgusting and muggy out. That actually sounds like a pretty good quote. Okay. So that's probably like one anecdote and one quote right there. Okay. All right. Then we got Cameron. Hope I spell your name right. Well, it's right there. Let's see here. Cameron Driallo, on the other hand, said she really enjoys the weather. Sorry. You could do like a partial quote. Maybe even gets to experience cold and hot. Well, maybe, if we only experienced cold or hot weather instead of both, I think we would get sick of the constant higher temperatures, something like that. Okay. You got Kaylee Warden down here. Kaylee, I'm sorry if I forgot how to spell your name. I know it's just in front of me. Kaylee Warden said she has been has been loving the weather this past week, as Rutgers is experiencing, or has been, whoops. She said this is her favorite time of year because you start to see everyone going outside more. And then, like I said, I mean, by paraphrase, you can actually cut down on things that don't sound so repetitive. With the changing weather, she has been going out in the sun to do more work or simply bask in the sun. However, I know that the temperature will be going back down soon, and that is concerning because of global warming. We just do that. All right. So there you go. Now I've just given you essentially like how I mean, now we can stick transitions in between those anecdotes and those quotes. I gave you just 3 of them right there. That's how simple it can be. And then, basically there's also a little bit more description in this kind of story. I can actually like, you try a little bit harder to like try to paint a picture of what everybody's going through. He was wearing pants in the weather. Basically, we get to see what Joe is wearing, that sort of thing. You get a little bit, you maybe ask those sorts of questions you're interviewing, or actually like you make that observation in your notes you wouldn't otherwise make. Like, what are they wearing? How are they acting? What's the expression on their face? That sort of thing. That's what you kind of thing you do in a feature story. Okay. Now, here's again the big difference. Okay. So maybe I add in a transition right here. Add in a transition right here. And then I add in a transition right here. Okay. All right. But we have to come up with a theme for the story, kind of like liking the hot weather, but not liking the mixed situation so much. Okay. So, you try to think of like maybe what would be a lead for this story. Okay. All right. So Rutgers students, maybe say they've been frustrated with the gloomy weather recently, but they're pleased that the weather has at least gotten warmer. I know it doesn't sound like earth-shattering news, but again, it's supposed to be an engaging story, a light story. People like to kind of like light features sometimes just because maybe it's something relatable, like I talked about with the clothing and stuff like that. Okay, now here's the big difference. That's like, see, I wrote that like a lead, right? Only the big difference here is that's not going to be your lead. That's going to be your nut graph. This is how you can actually like construct this feature story so that actually you can kind of envision what would look like more as a straight news story, and then kind of develop it into a nut graph. What you're going to do is you're going to take one of these anecdotes, maybe from here, okay? And I would take maybe Kaylee's actually. That seemed to kind of like echo the whole sentiment I just expressed there. Basically sum up the notes you got, which are right there in the discussion points, and you put it at the top. And now you have, an anecdotal lead. We can always return to Kaylee. We don't have to actually like, leave her high and dry. A lot of times actually what they do in these feature stories, they start off with a person and then they end with the same person. But by starting off with Kaylee, we can actually drill down to maybe her personal frustrations or pleasantries or whatever that more specific to her. And we could drill down and get more detail. Okay. So that's all. See what I did there? I just moved essentially one anecdote to the top. So now it starts with Kaylee Warden said she's been loving the weather this past week. Rutgers has been experiencing 70s and even reaching into the mid 80s. She said this is her favorite time of year because you start to see everyone going outside more. With this change in weather, she has been going outside to do more schoolwork, to read, or to simply bask in the sun. Nice. I like the idea of basking in the sun. That's good writing right there. That's good. Like Kaylee actually provided essentially, but that was actually a good quote she had there, essentially, that we turn into a paraphrase. Hopefully, but then we get into the however. However, I know that temperature is going to go going back down soon, and that is concerning in regards to global warming. Okay, then the nut graph. Okay, people are kind of looking for like something here to basically give me at this point to give me an idea, because it is a feature story, but it's also a news story at the same time. So they are looking for news. Okay. But they're hopefully by this point they're kind of hooked in by the stylistic writing and the the engaging story, the basking in the sun, the sense of being there, the sense of feeling. Rutgers students say they've been frustrated by the gloomy misspelling with the gloomy weather recently, but they're pleased that the weather has at least gotten warmer. Okay. Maybe like some students say it's nice to have a consistent idea of what they're wearing. It's kind of what Joe got into. Let's see, he was wearing blah, blah, blah. Or you could say like, or even like it's frustrating not knowing what to wear or whatever. Okay. That's it. All right.